Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to a CI Chit Chat. I'm Mitchell Hora and founder and CEO here at Continuum Ag. Excited to just continue the conversation. I got a special guest with me today. I'm going to kick it over to Steve here in a little bit, talk about some of what he's been seeing up in North Dakota. And we'll dig in from some of the dealers' perspective and a different farmer perspective here as well. But looks like good crowd here today. So anyone that's new, let's start kind of from the beginning. We call this CI Chit Chat. CI is carbon intensity. It's essentially the carbon footprint per bushel. And then whatever that bushel goes into, the bushel's carbon footprint is part of that product's carbon footprint. And specifically, we talk a lot about biofuels and the scoring mechanism on how to calculate your carbon footprint or calculate your carbon intensity was developed by the Department of Energy. They developed a system called the GREET model, and that's what we utilize to help farmers get their carbon intensity score. We do that score on the farm, get it verified, and help farmers to connect that score to the supply chain, to the elevators, and ultimately to the ethanol plants. Ethanol plants are looking at doing this, and biodiesel as well. This works on soybeans. But the biofuel producers are figuring this out and getting into this because of the 45Z tax credit. It's due to start on January 1st, so coming in real soon. Time keeps ticking closer and closer every day, and we still don't have all of the rules. There's been some movement here recently with a letter being written to the U.S. Department of Treasury by my state senator, Joni Ernst. There was a bipartisan letter that was written, I believe, to the House. We don't have all the final IRS rules, but there is some additional momentum going in Washington, D.C., and hopefully we get some indication of additional rules sooner rather than later and keep this process moving. So, but in the short term, it is all about just getting farmers ready, continuing to have these conversations, and spread the word. At least in my mind, that's all we can really do at this point is be ready and be ready for whatever is going to happen in regards to the rules. What we know is that it's going to take data. It's going to take a lot of data, and we need to get that on-farm data organized. And that's what we're working with our network and stuff to really help to do. So step one of getting that data is going on topsoil and just running the CI score. And Steve, I'll kick things over to you here. Thanks for bearing with me here this morning. Gosh darn. Hopefully we're gonna go more smoothly here now on my phone versus I don't know why my iPad's not working here today. But Steve, you guys are Farmer's Choice up in North Dakota. One of our dealers. We've been working together for months now. You guys have been really having a lot of these conversations. So excited to hear kind of what you're hearing and get some of your experience. But before we dig into that, why don't you just give a little intro and tell us a little bit about your operation, your farm, but also Farmer's Choice.
Yeah, thanks, Mitchell. Great to be on board here this morning. I'm hoping you're in the backwoods at Lake Okoboji enjoying some vacation time.
I'm not. I'm in Fairfield. I'm in Fairfield, Iowa here today.
Well, good. Well, thanks for having me. Yeah, my name is Steve Knorr. I'm a fourth generation farmer in North Dakota here. Corn and beans. Obviously, I'd like to pretend that I'm in Iowa and North Dakota with corn and beans in my rotation. I'm an irrigated farmer here, so I'm blessed with irrigation. But nevertheless, yeah, excited to be part of the Continuum platform and entering this space. Formed an egg retail business about 5 years ago, and our goal was to bring value to our producers, to our friends, family, and neighbors. We really are a research and application company. The benefit of me being a farmer and my partners in Farmer's Choice is that we can vet products, take a look at them. There's a lot of noise in you open magazines. There's a lot of products coming at us, et cetera, in this space of regenerative ag, et cetera. And our goal was to step in and take a look and vet these products and then find the ones that work on farm for our specific region or areas of influence. So we've been in business for 5 years, excited. Obviously, was in this space of regenerative ag, and I use that term in regards to, whether you want to call it, whatever, but at the end of the day, bringing a new kind of, moving away from the grower standard practice into this space of using biostimulants and biologicals and all these things that are in the marketplace and coming at us today as farmers. So along that pathway, obviously hired a guy named Jaden Bauer, who was on, I think, a couple months ago or two, and with you, Mitchell, and Jaden's been bringing our CI event to our producers and like I say, sharing the story. And that's what's exciting to me is the opportunity coming down the pipeline here. And as you stated, we need to get prepared, get aligned. This opportunity is in my 25 years of farming, I've never seen this before. I mean, there's never been an opportunity like this. And if we don't get in front of it, if we don't execute, we're going to miss this opportunity.
I love that. And that's why I wanted to double tap into a little bit more. But yeah, you'd mentioned Jaden. We had him on the CI Chit Chat a while back. If you want to see that or any of our other recordings, you can go on our YouTube page and you can see all of our content. Also, the audio is on the Topsoil podcast. But yeah, so Steve, you're in an awesome spot where you test things on your own farm, and I do the exact same thing. That's my vetting process too. All right, here's some of my ground, prove it, right? So with this CI thing, what I'm sure you've been looking at all kinds of different carbon programs, stuff like that. When you saw this for the first time, do you remember like kind of what was the thought process, or what did you think when you kind of first saw it? Because you guys jumped in like head first right off the bat. And so what was that kind of like, and why did you get to, yes, we need to go and do this? And do you remember that light bulb moment?
Yeah, no, obviously it was like I say, that when Jaden came on board, and that's part of the reason Jaden came on board at Farmer's Choice was to enter into this space, and aligned really well with you guys and what you were doing, and you were, and I commend you, Mitchell, what you did. I mean, you've been a leader in this space, and like I say, of everything I've looked at, you're so far ahead of everybody else. So I commend you for that, and thank you for allowing the Farmer's Choice to be a part of this story. But going back to the beginning in regards to the opportunity with when the GREET and the Inflation Reduction Act came out with the 0.054 cents, you do the math based on the GREET model, there is substantial dollars. I mean, like I say, there's never been in my lifetime an opportunity to go make $100 an acre based on an event that and the unique thing about the GREET model, which we want to see this thing get past, get over the finish line, is that whether I'm regenerative, whether I'm conventional, whether I'm organic, it didn't matter. I could fit in that space in my current farming practices. The unique thing, I think, also is allowing farmers to step into this space. And I've been farming for 25 years. I graduated from North Dakota State University. I was taught NPK, 0.98 pounds per bushel on corn, 2.2 on wheat. And that methodology, that grower standard practice that I've done for the last 15, 16 years kind of got flipped on its head here about 4 years ago when I said, you know what, I'm keep doing the same thing. I need to take a look at sustainability and where I'm going with my farm and looking at some of these other practices. So it aligned just perfect. The timing is perfect for the CI event, right?
I think that's right. It's about telling our story. And a lot of farmers are kind of getting along this journey, right? Just like your farm, like my farm, and now being able to put some numbers on it to be able to tell a story, but also, like you said, to potentially go and help to garner some big dollars. Now, we've scored at Continuum Ag, we've scored over 300 million bushels of corn. And we've found that the average CI score is about an 11.1. And that is 18 points lower than the default. 18 points at a conservative 5.4 cents is just shy of $1 per bushel in tax credit value. $1 per bushel on, call it 200 bushel corn. We're talking a value that farmers and ethanol plants could create together of nearly $200 an acre. Now, there's some nuances to it. The ethanol plants got to get their CI score low enough. So there could be some discounts on some of that. But nonetheless, a big opportunity to collaborate. We don't know we don't know how that pie is going to be split up, but at least to be in front of it. And I think my light bulb moment was kind of the same as you, Steve, where it was like, wow, I've been looking at this carbon stuff. I've been involved in a lot of programs for the last 5, 6, 7 years, but never found something that really was like, wow, this is incredible. Like I could actually do this on my own farm until I saw the GREET model and CI scoring and dug into the math of 45Z. And I'm like, wow, like I don't know how this is going to work out. We don't know the details. And still today, we don't know the details. But gosh darn, I mean, I don't know of a bigger potential opportunity. And especially as we're looking at $4 corn being here to stay. And hopefully it stays close to $4 because there's a lot of good crop out there. Uh, we're gonna need some other options on the farm to keep paying the bills. And this is by far the biggest thing that I see coming in. And we just need to keep spreading the word. I wanted to tee things up, backtrack just a tid. So we mentioned we've been working with Farmers Choice as a dealer for Continuum and just a channel partner. We have dozens of these dealers all over the country. And if you're interested in becoming one, you can contact me or contact Jessica at continuum.ag. We're happy to have that conversation with you. My mind and this, there's so much abundance of opportunity here when we're talking about a third of the U.S. corn crop going into biofuel every year, a significant portion of the soybeans as well. I mean, we're talking huge opportunity here. And Continuums is we're growing like crazy. We keep hiring, but we can't help every single farmer. There's relationships that are already out there, and that's really what we want to help to enable. And I think other tech companies, other ag tech companies have screwed up the most important thing in agriculture, which is the relationships. And at Continuum, being a 7th generation farmer, I understand how important those relationships are. So I think of Continuum as bringing disruptive technology to enable the existing relationships. And Steve, you guys obviously have some great relationships with your growers yourself, and talk about those relationships and some of the conversation of what has happened when you bring this to the farm gate and you say, hey, we're looking at this thing. I think you should take a look as well. What's some of those conversations like with your customers?
Yeah, so first it's been the education piece and understanding exactly the opportunity in front of us, and that's been an unknown for a lot of folks. I mean, it's really kind of disappointing that the egg industry at whole hasn't like all collectively jumped on this and say, hey, we got to get this going. We got to get this. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. So at the end of the day, is education. You know,
Yeah.
educating our growers of the opportunity. And then creating, I call it the easy push button, right? We as farmers, I mean, we're the accountant, we're the laborer, we're the mechanic, we're A through Z on our farm, and it consumes us, especially in the production season, and we just
Yeah.
don't have time to digest and understand. So really the ability to come to our growers and educate them and then show them that we have a platform or a capability through Continuum to help them execute a CI event. Yes, we're waiting on GREET, but nevertheless, you've done a great job of building topsoil to show them. We can actually show a producer within 15, 20 minutes a predictive score based
Yeah.
on their farm practices. And then we can also show them, hey, there's things you can do on farm to influence that score and bring it down. So great opportunity, like I say, in regards to for us as an egg retail company to bring that value to bear.
Yeah. Well, I hope too that it ties in with you guys' bigger message, right? And some of these different products you've been playing around with and groups that you represent, with just trying to help farmers to manage their inputs, manage their costs, and drive yield. That all factors into the CI score. And now we're just putting a number on it. And to your point, going to topsoil.ag, running that score, running scenarios and such as well, and then saying, all right, hey, here's what the protocol would look like if we want to go and get this verified, which is really that next step. That's where some dollars start coming in as well. And there's a lot of hesitation yet on some of the dollar side of things. Maybe speak to that a little bit on kind of what's your thoughts there. That yeah, we're in Continuum's approach. We're having the farmer pay for the cost of the verification and the data tracking and working with a system like ours and working with the representatives that are folks on your team and on my team that we got to pay salary. We got to cut checks to these guys, a couple times a month. We got to keep the lights on somehow. But I'm not, if I was in the farmer's shoes, like I could also see sitting and waiting, see how the rules come out, and then hit the go switch from there. But how are you kind of approaching that, or kind of what do you think the conversation is as farmers are waiting for more clarity, as farmers are watching for programs to come out. Because I'm sure there's some representatives from some ethanol plants on here too. Like, what would you like to see when it comes to, hey, here's some clarity, or, what do you think would make more farmers say, yeah, let's rock and roll?
Yeah, so kind of multifaceted there. So really, obviously, from the tax credit in 45Z is obviously going to the ethanol plant or the biofuel company. So it starts there, right? They've got to announce, they've got to say, hey, we're going to participate this. It's been slow on that process due to the fact that GREET and Treasury haven't said, hey, here's the final ruling. So if we could have that event happen, I think we execute a lot faster. And like I say, with Continuum, with topsoil, we can get A to B here quick. So we need pressure on the federal side. It's like, let's get this across the finish line. Now, I keep hearing, Mitchell, September now. It was going to be July, September. Yes, it's tough for a farmer to say, you know what, I'm ready to execute on an investment. And like I say, the investment is pretty nominal. Obviously the cost that to get to that event is pretty, I mean, the ROI is out the roof, right? If I'm going to make that investment, I mean, my return, if I hit this CI score based in my topsoil, I mean, it's a no brainer. It's pretty simple. Yeah. But like I say, the unknown is, hey, is this going to happen? Now, like I say, days are ticking. The crop we grew in 2024 qualifies. So if you want the opportunity, like I say, I'm advising guys, you know what? Bet on the come, take the risk. We take risk farming every day. This cost is pretty nominal. Why don't you move into the space? Because, like I say, you may miss the opportunity. Now it's 2025 production year, and you have value in 24, and we may miss the boat here, right? Because it's a function of time for you and us to execute the data collection and submit us, to get a CI score event.
Yeah, it's a lot of data, right? It's a big lift, especially in at least how we're approaching it, right? To be proactive, to get the farmer data collected and get it through a verification. So step one is go to topsoil, and you can just run your base score, right? That's just a preliminary thing. It's an estimated score based on your default farming practices and your farm profile. But that doesn't mean anything. We got to get the score verified for each bushel of your production. I wanted to hit on that a little bit more. We've been talking a lot about it, and anybody that's enrolled in our program, you've got a bunch of emails in your inbox that our agronomists have been hitting you up saying, hey, let's get this data added in because verification's coming. We're going to be submitting the first tranche of data, the first fields to the verifiers in October. So we have to have the initial farmers signed up. The final deadline is September 20th, but in the month of September, we're going to implement a rush fee of an extra $3 an acre. If you want to avoid that rush fee, we need farmers signed up by August 30th, end of this month. It's going to take some time. We need that month to work with you on the farm, to gather all this data and get this done before we all get busy running combines here this fall. Now, we will do some verification in 2025 as well. Probably 2 different rounds or 2 different tranches of verification in 2025, because obviously most people aren't going to be signed up by this September 20th date, which is fine. If you're ready to rock and roll and be the first kind of mover advantage, now's the time. We got to go. It is time to say, yep, let's get it done. If you're not ready for this first tranche, it's okay. Know that you'll be able to get verified in a look back program, but I just think it's going to be extra work, and I don't know what our costs are going to be, and I don't know what we're going to have to charge for it, but we want to make this work for as many farmers as possible. And I think as these programs roll out, the ROI is going to more than justify whatever that lift is. And it's a lot of time, it's a lot of data, and there's some dollars to be expended with it as well. But it looks like the upside can be huge. And Steve, obviously that's where you guys are seeing, and you've been talking about that. I don't want to name names and stuff, but you've been talking with a lot of folks in the biofuel space or different companies and stuff as well. Maybe without getting too detailed, how are some of those conversations going, or how are you kind of approaching that? Just any kind of hot takes or insights there.
Yeah, great question. Obviously, you've been part of some of those conversations here in North Dakota, Mitchell. Like I say, obviously the challenge for the biofuel space is, hey, we don't want to step into this space without having clear clarity, and I get that, right? I get that, and that's the importance of getting GREET and Treasury to announce and getting this over the finish line, because once that happens, the conversations we've had, which you've been a part of, is that our biofuel companies here in North Dakota say, you know what, yeah, we want to check the box 45Z. We want this thing to happen, right? We are willing to look at this opportunity and share in the upside with producers. We just need GREET and Treasury to say, hey, let's get it done. So yeah, exciting news. Actually, I had some conversations yesterday. Like I say, everything's tracking where we want it to track, other than the fact that, hey, we want an announcement, right? Because the gatekeeper is the biofuel company. They will be able to say, you know what, here's what we're going to pay on a CI of 5.6. And like I say, we can further have clarity on what the economic return is. And like I say, we can do the math based on the GREET model and the 5.5 cents per point of reduction times your bushels. Pretty simple, which is great. But what is the final number that we're going to get on the ROI? But going back to the investment that we've got in Continuum, and like I say, farmers, we did a great, we vetted, we went and looked in this space, right? And Mitchell, what you've got, your platform with your third-party verifier, like I say, there's, in my opinion, there's nobody out there in this space that's bringing all the things to bear that you have. And I would caution producers, understand who you're working with. If it's not a continuum, you better look at where they're at in this space and what they can do and bring to the table. So be prepared, because the biofuel companies, guess what? They need folks like Continuum to verify, to quantify those CI bushels coming to their facilities, because they're liable for that bushel and selling that tax credit.
Yeah, no, it's a great point, Steve. And there's more and more folks that are kind of coming and jumping into the space. I just became aware of a brand new competitor to us just the other day, just last week. And there's a lot of different companies that are saying, hey, we'll just score your stuff for you, we'll handle it for you, or different programs that are being talked about by the biofuel producers and other folks in the space. What I really worry about, though, is from what I've seen in a lot of these programs, their approach is to just gather the base farmer data right now, like the farm profile stuff, just fill out this quick survey and just kind of tell us what your practices are. Then they're going to verify and go through an audit process after the fact. So say, for example, you deliver grain in late 2024 or early 2025. They produce biofuel throughout 2025. Then the audits are at the end of 2025 or early 2026, maybe even into 2027, when the IRS is coming in and running their audits and stuff. And if your name gets chosen for that audit, your farm, now you got to prove that form that you filled out, could be a couple years ago, you got to prove that you did all that stuff. You got to show all the records. And you're talking about data that you delivered and you claimed to the IRS. You're found to be fraudulent. Like, I mean, we're literally talking tax fraud here, which scares the crap out of me in this whole space, and why we are trying to be so aggressive at getting this data early, getting it verified up front, where we're gathering the data basically as the practices are happening on the farm. So it's easier, so we can document all this stuff and then get that to the verifier. And Josh, if you've got shape files are great. Like, that's ideal. But receipts, photos, we can use aerial imagery. There's also going to be a farmer attestation, just signing saying, yes, I did these things, and the farmer basically taking on the liability. But document this stuff however you can. The more data, the easier. The more data, the less risk that it's going to be. We just submitted the practice data to our third-party verifier just last week. They're digging through it right now and are telling us they're running a gap analysis to identify what else do we need, or did we present to them enough to have them give us the stamp of approval that, yes, we see that this CI score is legit. We can see you grew this many bushels, and we can see that the practices occurred. Here is your third-party verification stamp of approval. So we are going through the first round of that right now, ahead of our October submittal of real data. But it's going to document everything as much as you can. I think it's going to be really critical to do this up front, so that when we are collaborating from the farm to the biofuel producers, that they know what they're getting. When the data is delivered and it's got that topsoil, a stamp of approval, or it's got our third-party verified eco-engineers, if it's got their stamp of approval, that these ethanol plants know that that means something. And they know that when they're buying your corn and when they're buying your data, your CI certificates, that they know that what they're getting is legit. And I think there's going to be additional potential value to be shared in that because we're avoiding fraud, we're avoiding risk, and there's more transparency. Now, obviously, all that still to work itself out. We've got some incredible pilot projects happening right now to prove those concepts. But it's just, in my mind, Steve, it's about there is some potential for huge dollars here. And we're talking about environmental stuff and groups that don't necessarily like industrial ag, don't necessarily like biofuels. There's going to be a lot of scrutiny. We have got to cross our T's and dot our I's. And that's where we're just trying to be as proactive as possible to get that done and get our farmers in best position to succeed. And I think we're setting a precedent that other industries can follow as well. That's beyond biofuels, right? And beyond corn and soybeans. We're really setting precedent here and want to make sure it gets done right. But that sound right, Steve?
I love it. Couple things here, Mitchell. One, obviously the players that you brought to bear, eco engineers, you said. So eco actually does my verification for my ethanol plant here locally, right? So so win for me, right? They're using eco engineers to actually verify their CI event at their facility, and you partner with them to help us verify that score. The other thing I like, Mitchell, is the fact that this data, right? The data is staying in house. We are executing a CI certificate that will then be given to a biofuel company. They don't get our data, they get a certificate. And I think that's valued to me as a grower, right? That's my data. And in the world of data breaches every day of the week. I mean, once again, you had the Trump deal last night, data breach all the time. So it's great that we're able to keep our data. Obviously, we can attest to it, verify it through eco engineers, and submit it, and bring that value back to the biofuel company. So love that. I love the GREET model. We can't lose the GREET model. The GREET model is, like I say, it allows a farmer to navigate in that space and bring value to his farm. If we go to the Climate Smart Ag program, I don't, like I say, I don't think we get it over the fence. The GREET we got to push the GREET.
Yeah. No, and I think there's pretty decent consensus about that. And what you're talking about, Steve, is the 3-practice bundle approach versus the full GREET model like what we use. And I think they're hearing pretty loud and clear, like use the full GREET model. It's got some things that need to be improved. And we've seen that firsthand in some of your producers, that there's some improvements that need to happen on the GREET model, specifically enabling the soil organic carbon calculations across every corn producing county. But I think they're hearing that loud and clear as well. And hopefully future renditions of these calculators are inclusive and enable farmer innovation, which I think is super important to keep at the forefront in all this. I love that on the data privacy. That's why I launched my own software clear back in early 2020. We launched Topsoil, and it was really because I knew that this data, we were creating a lot of value. At that time, it was the Haney soil health test and soil fertility data. But now, this information about our farms is becoming really valuable, and farmers need to know where it's at. They need to know that it's protected, and they need to work with people that they trust. And I hope that is groups like ours, right? That it's farmer to farmer. It's saying, hey, we're our own customers in this. Like your farm, my farm. Like we're building this for ourselves here too, but just taking it to other folks. So excited to see where this continues to go, and excited to work with folks like you guys, Steve, and really appreciate all the work that you guys have put in. You've been really hammering hard on this and spending a lot of your own money too, to make sure that your farmers are ready to go. And like, I think that doesn't go without notice. So looking forward to making all this happen. Looking forward to having you on again. Obviously, you and I could talk on this for hours. But we are out of time today. Any final thoughts, though, Steve?
Like I say, in my lifetime, I've grown $1.75 bushel corn. I've grown $8 bushel corn, more towards $1.75. So we got to get this over the fence. Mitchell, you've done a great job. Let's collaborate. Let's work together as a collective group. Us as farmers, we sometimes don't pool our voices, but let's get this one over the fence. Let's win.
Yeah, I love it. I love that. Onward and upward. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, everybody, for being on. Have a great day.